because of his faith. Read on.
By faith, Enoch was taken away so he did not experience death, and he was not to be found because God took him away.
Now, who knows about Enoch? Enoch was born 7 generations after Adam. 687 years after Seth, the son that replaced Abel after Cain killed him. That was the son that God gave to replace Abel. He was born 687 years after Seth. There was 687 years that passed, a time in which Cain's lineage was able to unleash evil on the earth. Sin had become absolutely rampant because of Cain and his descendants. And in the midst of all of that, 687 years had passed since Adam had communed with God. So there's a long span in which there's a time for separation. And yet Enoch was able to please God because of his faith. Because of his faith, he was able to live an upright life before him. Read on.
For prior to his removal, he was approved, since he had pleased God. Now without faith, it was impossible to please God, for everyone who draws near to him must believe that he exists and rewards those who seek him. By faith, Noah, after he was warned about, was not yet seen and motivated by godly fear, built an ark to deliver his family by faith. He condemned the world and became the heir of righteousness that comes by faith.
Okay. Noah. Now, Noah had never seen rain. No one on earth had ever seen rain. Amen. And yet, when God commanded him to build an ark in the middle of nowhere, miles from water, claiming that it's going to rain and everyone's going to die. And he gave him specific commands of how tall it was supposed to be and how wide and how long it was supposed to be. Noah could have gone by what he saw. He never seen no rain. It was raining. But he took God at his word and did exactly what he had commanded him to do. And because of his faith, both he, his sons, and his sons' wives, and all the animals that God had set aside were saved. Going even further, Abram, a man who was from the land of Ur, of the Chaldees, his people served many gods. And yet he was able to recognize the call of the one true living God to service. And then God made him a promise that he never saw come to fruition. But see, if you continue to read on through the 11th chapter of Hebrews, you'll find that all of these men and women that are mentioned have one thing in common. Faith. Amen. They never saw the promise that God made in Genesis 3 and 15 come to fruition. But everything that they did because of that promise. The reason I wanted to deal so strongly and so even just to teach on faith is because when we go through trials, that's the first thing that takes damage. And see, while it's normal to question God about these things, you don't want to go to the point of doubting him. And see, trials will cause you to doubt him. They'll push you to that limit. You'll get to a certain point and you'll be like, well, you know, if you got caught, and there's only really, if you think about it, there's only 2 stages in life where most people get caught by trials. You either get caught up high, everything's going fine for you, everything is wonderful, you're doing like you're supposed to, you serving God, you church on Sunday morning, any other service Sunday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, you'll be in church 7 days a week if you could. and everything seems to be going good. You got your shout on, you got your praise on, you speak in tongues that nobody never heard before. You done got so high in the spirit that when you dance, you float. And then suddenly out of left field, here comes a trial, something you never expected. And it comes from the most unlikely place that you've ever expected. That child who's never given you a problem, suddenly they lose their mind.
Come on now.
That friend that swore, I'll never leave you. You my ace bone coon. Now suddenly they talking about you. You got folk that you've been relying on to have your back, to do certain things for you, and they've been running around with all this big gate talk, and suddenly you at the bottom of the barrel and you can't find them. Yeah, y'all thought I was going to just sit up here. But the fact of the matter is this. Your faith is the first thing that gets damaged. See, that's scenario number one. And see, in that scenario, usually the question that gets asked of God is, I thought I was doing what you told me to. What's this? And we begin to look at God as if he's this big kid that's bullying us. Why are you picking on me? What I ever do to you? I did what you told me to. I did what you asked me to. Why is it that why are you messing with me? Scenario number two, you already at the bottom of the barrel. You've been pushed about as low as you can get. You've lost your job, you've lost your friends. Everyone that said they'd be there, they walked off and left you. All them people, even family, you can't rely on. And then suddenly, out of right field, here comes another trial. And now you're crying out to God, well, how much lower can I get? You're supposed to be bailing me out. So why do I have to suffer even more? And in the midst of this trial, your faith is taking an absolute beating. But see, it's in times like these we need to be reminded what faith really is. Faith is about accepting what God has for you, even when you can't understand. It's about walking when you can't track his movements. To bring it to you real time, it's about walking into a dark room, not knowing where anything is, with your hand in his, and saying, you know what? I'm just going to walk. I'm just going to keep walking. I'm going to trust that you know better than I do. I'm going to trust that you know which direction I need to go in. I'm going to trust that you know how fast I need to go, how slow I need to go. I'm going to trust you even when I can't track you. But see, how many of us can actually say we have that level of faith? And see, I like to pick on men because we the typical ones. If we can't see it, we ain't going. And it's like, I don't know where you're going. I don't know what kind of plans you got for me. You might be trying to set me up. You gonna walk me in this room, beat me down, take all my little change, leave me broken, busted in the dark. But see, faith is telling God, Lord, I'll do whatever it is you want me to do. I'll go wherever you want me to go. I'll say whatever you want me to say. I'll even shut up if you want me to. Whatever it is that your desire is for me in my life, that's what I'm going to do. It's about trusting, leaving nothing to anyone else. Lord, I trust you. I'll trust you. Earlier, I spoke about how hard it has been in my life to make friends. Not because I'm an unlikable person, but I've always just, I don't know, I've had trust issues. Because from a young child, it seemed like those that I put my trust in, they failed me. And it took me years to recognize that I was putting my trust wholeheartedly in the wrong place. I was looking for man to do what only God could do. I was looking for man to bail me out. If I run into a problem, oh, I know I can run to this brother. He'll hook me up, get me right, I'll be straight. And then when I ran into that problem and I couldn't find that brother, now I'm heartbroken. But we ought not to put our faith in man, because man, whether he wants to or not, will eventually fail you. But trust God. Trust the one who has a perfect record, who has kept every promise he made. Amen. When God told Noah it was going to rain, and he told him to go on up into the ark, he said in 7 days it's going to rain. 7 days later, the skies cut loose and water began to bubble up from the earth from every fountain. And it covered everything. Not a mountain was left uncovered. When God told Abram to leave his people and go to a land I will show you, he didn't even tell him where he was going. He didn't even give him any kind of real directions. Who among us would just listen to somebody, just go where I'm telling you? What are you telling me? What you mean go where you telling me? What kind of monkey outfit you running in? But God told Abram, just go where I'll show it to you. You'll know when you get there because I'll tell you made it. And Abram just got up, grabbed his wife and his nephew, they stuffed and left. And then he died before ever seeing the promised land. Over 400 years of slavery, and the people he had started never saw it. And yet God kept his word. Who else do we need to trust? Who else deserves our faith? See, there's one thing I want you to know, and I'm going to shut up. God does not require blind faith from his people. Okay? You got some atheists that are out there that say that we're a bunch of idiots because we believe blindly. God does not require blind faith. God requires faith based on the best evidence there is around. If you don't believe me, go online when you leave here and just read about the anatomy of the human body. Look at how perfectly your body has to function in order to sustain life. Just think, if your heartbeat is off by just a millisecond, you'll die.
Yes, Lord.
Do you think about breathing all day, or is that just something you do? I know I don't. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm so absent-minded. If I had to think to breathe, to live, I wouldn't be here. Because I got so much else running through my mind. I'll be walking around, breathe. What's that over there? Breathe.
Come on.
I'm serious. Just look at the human body. You breathe just enough to provide just enough oxygen to go all the way through your body, yes. One circuit.
Come on now.
Now here's the beauty of it. You got your bloodstream can only carry so much oxygen and so many toxins.
All right.
And they exchange each other. You pick up oxygen on the way in, And when it pumps out, it's full of oxygen, beefed up. Oh. And then as it proceeds to your body, that oxygen bleeds off.